Good. About me, so I am Reggie and I host Financial Coconut, right? So it's a personal finance podcast. We're the only one at the point in time when I first launched it. That was like 18 months ago. And now we are number one, yeah, because we're no longer the only one. So we cannot say, we're the only one. And so yes, we are the number one financial literacy podcast here in Singapore. And for me, I'm not professionally trained. I just kind of picked up a lot of these things as I kind of go along. I think it's the same narrative with a lot of people. Like you're kind of lost, and then you pick up new things, and then you try, and then somehow things get to where it is, right? So personal finance, I won't say I'm like a super big proponent of personal finance, although now everybody think I am a big proponent of personal finance. Personal finance is only a very small part of your life, right? But I do think that it is a part of people's lives that people don't think about as much. It becomes this big black box, right? But for me, I was backpacker. I tried many businesses. I failed. I was a dropout from school. Yeah, and all that jazz, right? So everything that you think is part of the narrative of being a Singaporean, I'm like the other side.
But what would be your target sum for retirement? And where would it come from?
Honestly, I don't have a target sum for retirement. I know a lot of people, when they do financial planning, there's always this thing that you need to punch in, right? It's like this magical number. Everybody talk about the magical number, right? Like there's this formula, and then you create, and then there'll be this magical number. Boop, it will come out, and then ta-da! You just need to save this amount. And all sorts of newspaper article talk about it lah. Yeah, Singaporeans need $4 million to retire lah, or was it 1.5 lah? Whatever. It's always changing. This number always changes. Right. And why does it always change? Because the different caveats. You're putting in different assumptions. You're putting in different numbers. You're putting in different lifestyle goals, etc., etc., etc. Right. So all those things are endless and extremely focused on the individual. But I do have some guiding principles. Okay. One of the main guiding principles is to recognize that life is a journey, right? So if life is a journey, then you don't need to be too hard up on ending it, or you don't need to be too hard up on saying that we must prepare for the end, because all along on your journey, you're already experiencing. So if you think about it, an extension of this idea is, if for every dollar that you make, you spend 50 cents, for every year that you work, you can live 2 years. That means for every 10 years that you work, you can live 20 years.
Okay. My head. Okay. Jade, do you understand?
Right?
Every 10 years that you work, you live for 20 years.
Yeah, for every dollar that you make, you only spend 50 cents.
Yeah.
So, half, right? So every 10 years of work, you can live 20 years.
Okay.
Fair, right? Okay. So if for every dollar that you make, you spend 33 cents, which is 1/3, right? You spend 1/3 of your income, every dollar that comes in, you can live for 30 years. So just based on that idea, if you're fundamentally prudent and you're not too wild and crazy, which I think maybe early days, 20, you first come out, right? Everybody had this like, wow, suddenly I got a lot of money, right? I want to spend. Especially people in the arts, right? Because people in the arts, how do we make money? Immediately after a gig, right? The cash come in already. Immediately you receive cash on hand. It's only two scenarios, like either cash on hand or delay like many months. Usually the art scene works like that, right? So if you get cash on hand, then people will start to spend, or immediately if they gig at the bar, then they'll immediately spend at the bar, or they will go somewhere else. Hey, swat you, let's go somewhere else and have fun. God. Right? Exactly. I understand the arts, but I have a lot of friends in the art space. So that is the idea, right? So with that kind of lifestyle, and you essentially spend almost everything out, so you will always feel like I have not enough, right? But if you can, after that life, right, maybe you play around for like 10 years or like 8 years, then you're like, okay, enough already, like, you sit down and start to ask yourself, right? It's actually quite a natural progression. You're not weird, okay? Just want to put it out there for the listeners. Right? Very normal. First time you make money, you want to do wild things, right? But after a while, you start to settle down. So as long as you start settling down, and once you start settling down, you recognize that for every dollar you make, you spend 30 cents, you live 30 years. If you work 10 years, you can live until like what, 60, 70 already. But those guiding ideas are very blind. Yeah. It's like the yes or no, right or wrong, positive or negative. These are very absolutes. Absolutes do not exist in the real world. Okay, absolutes are theoretical. At the core, you got to ask yourself, what do you want and how do you achieve it? That is the core idea.
Yeah.
Right. So if you understand what you want, how do you achieve it? That works. Yes.
So based on that idea, what do you want and how do you want to achieve it? So can I give an example, like a case, right? Case study. So if someone wants to own like a good class bungalow.
Okay, so if you want to live in GCB, right, you want to like be on Nassim Drive and be cool and all whatever, those kind of stuff, right? $30-15 million, you just go and count based on your current job scope, based on your current earning potential, right? Most people will fall short of it, and it's perfectly okay, right? But to believe that you can work as hard as you can to hopefully get there, you are subjecting your strategy to a very big element of hope.